Hare Krishna. Let's welcome you all to the second day of our course. Yesterday we discussed about the introduction to Bhagavad Gita. While discussing about the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, the first point we discussed was that why are we here? Why you are here? Why your friend is not here? Though your friend knew, or many people in Colombo knew, that there is some course like this is going on, why you choose to come here? Because you have this quality called inquisitiveness. Because you had the spirit to inquire, which brought you all the way from your house, from your working place, here. So when somebody has this quality to inquire, when this inquisitiveness is there, this qualifies them to be human beings. Yesterday we discussed that how the very first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra, it says, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Since we have come to the human form of life, since we got the human form of life, the first responsibility is to inquire into the absolute truth. Inquire into higher realms of existence. Yesterday, if you remember, we discussed about how our inquiry is restricted to what? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That is what animals are also doing. Animals, their whole life is based on eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Now we are all trying very hard to do the same four activities animals are doing, but in a sophisticated way. But the irony is, in spite of we trying to do these four things which animals are doing very naturally and very easily, we are trying to do these four things in a sophisticated way, but we have failed to even excel in them also. Just see, animals, they eat anything and everything and they are happy. But once your age, you're 35, 40, so many restrictions in eating are there. Even though you have the best sleeping arrangement, we cannot sleep because of so much of anxiety. So the whole purpose of human life is not just betterment in these four things. The purpose of human life is to inquire into higher realms of existence. And what are the two prime inquiries in life? That is what we discussed yesterday. The first inquiry in our life should be that, what is the goal of life? What is the purpose of life? If we don't know the purpose of life, what is the use of our living? Like if you are driving a car, and if you don't know where you are to drive to, what is the use of having a car? What is the use of driving it? So since we have got a human body, which is like a vehicle, and this vehicle should have a proper destination. So to know the goal of life, to know the proper destination of life, that is the first and the foremost principle, first and foremost inquiry for a human being. We just want to live, but living animals are also doing. But we are supposed to lead our life. We are not just supposed to live our life. We are very much interested in knowing the art of living. But we should be interested not only in just art of living, but we should also know the art of leading to a proper destination. And somebody may say, this thing is too philosophical. But the second inquiry which we all discussed yesterday was that we should inquire about the cause of suffering. The goal of life, the purpose of life, and the cause of suffering, these are the two prime inquiries of a human being. Now the cause of suffering. Somebody may say, you sadhus, you renunciates, you always talk something negative. Talk positive. These days people talk about it. Talk positive. Let us talk how to become happy. Why talk about cause of suffering and all? This is too philosophical. Let us come to the point. We all want to enjoy. Let us see how to enjoy. Let us see how to become happy. But this is where we err in our life. Instead of trying to find out the cause of suffering, we try to enjoy. We try to see how we can become happy. It is like trying to find out, try out so many medicines without knowing what is the disease. Without knowing what is your problem, if you try out so many medicines in the chemist shop, what is going to happen? You will aggravate your disease. When you go to the doctor, the first thing what doctor does is diagnose the disease. The first problem is to identify what is the cause of suffering. When you know the cause of suffering, then you can find out the remedy of it. Now instead of trying to find out cause of suffering, we are trying to enjoy. We are trying to find out where I can where they can get enjoyment. So that is why these are the two my prime inquiries in life. The cause of suffering, the first one, the goal of life, and the cause of suffering. And now the question I raised yesterday was where we should inquire from. We should inquire from the Vedic literatures. We ask why? Because the Vedas are the perfect source of knowledge. Yesterday we discussed about three pramanas, three sources of knowledge. The Pratyaksha Praman, inferential, then the Anuman Praman, and the third one is Shabda Praman. Pratyaksha Praman is the knowledge gained by our sensory perception, perceptive knowledge. That is always having defects. Why it has defects? This Pratyaksha Praman is always having defects because our senses, they are having four defects. The first defect of the sense is that we have tendency to commit mistakes. Every human being commits mistake. It is said, to err is human and to forgive is divine. Every human being in this world, they commit mistake one day or the other. What is the second problem? To be illusion. Everybody in this world, because of the sensual perception, they are always illusion. Like I gave example yesterday. You take a glass of water and put a spoon inside it. It looks bent, but it is not bent. So in illusion, we cannot get proper knowledge. Now what is the third problem in the senses? The third is that we have a tendency to be cheated and be cheated. Everybody in this world is cheating, each one or the other, somebody or the other. Like you have the huge industry called the advertising industry. And this advertising industry is meant for what? It is meant for cheating. It is trying to convince you to buy something which you don't require. For that they have to tell some lies or the other. Now not only that, the senses are limited. You can only see within a certain range. You cannot see something beyond infrared rays and ultraviolet rays. You cannot hear beyond 20,000 hertz, and you cannot hear something which is below 20 hertz. So that shows that these senses are defective, and the knowledge gained by the senses are as defective as our senses. So in spite of all our endeavors to reach perfection, sensory knowledge will not give you perfection. The scientific knowledge, the so-called knowledge of the science, it is what? It is just nothing but sensory perception. Why?
There are some problem.
Okay, no problem. I can reach out.
We
I hope you can hear.
Behind?
I can hear. Yeah. Yes, I can reach out. So the sensory perception definitely is going to lead to some kind of problem. That is why the modern science bases its whole thing on the sensory perception. That is why the modern science is always having some defect or the other. Every time we talk about science, we talk about progress. And what is the meaning of progress? That shows it is not complete. That is where progress is required. If something is absolute and something is complete, why you require progress? Progress is not required where something is complete. Something which is complete has no requirement of any progress. That shows the science is incomplete. That means it is having a lot of defects. And that is why Vedic literature is the perfect source of knowledge. Yesterday we tried to understand that how these Vedic literatures, they are having no defects at all. The first point we talked about yesterday was that the Vedic literatures talk about cow dung. Cow dung is pure. Vedas proclaim it. 5,000 years back Vedas were written, and there it is written that cow dung is pure. The same Veda says the stool of any other animal, including humans, it is impure. But now these days the scientists, they made a research on the cow dung and came to a conclusion that the cow dung has lots and lots of antiseptic values in it. Just see, 5,000 years back there were no laboratories, no chemical laboratories. But still how this was concluded? That is because Vedas are the word of God. The Vedic literatures are the absolute source of knowledge. And there are no defects which are found in ordinary knowledge. That is why if somebody wants to know perfect knowledge, they should approach the Vedic literatures. Yesterday we also discussed about how these Vedic literatures are having so many different predictions. Jesus and Muhammad appearance was predicted in the Vedic literatures which were written 5,000 years back. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts about the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is the speciality of Vedic literatures. Not only these Vedic literatures are talking about some predictions, they talk about scientific things. Earth is round in shape, was declared in the Vedic literatures 5,000 years back. But the Nobel Prize goes to somebody else. So the Vedic literatures talk about the plants having life, but the Nobel Prize goes to somebody else. So in this way, we discussed about how Vedic literatures are the perfect source of knowledge. Then later on we discussed how Vedas are so vast. And if somebody wants to read them, it is impossible because only 6% of the Vedic literatures are left. Even if somebody wants to know all the 6%, it's impossible. Because it will take an entire lifetime. Not even entire lifetime, even 10 lifetimes are not enough. That is why Krishna, what did he do? He condensed the entire Vedic literatures into one book called Bhagavad Gita. Especially the most important part of the Vedic literatures are the Upanishads. Why are they the most important part of the Vedic literatures, Upanishads? Because these Upanishads talk about how to get out of this world. If you remember yesterday, we discussed about two kinds of knowledge in the Vedas. One is how to live in this world, other one is how to get out of this world. Among these two kinds of knowledge, how to live in this world and how to get out of this world, how to get out of this world is important. Every intelligent boy who gets into the topmost technical institute, maybe engineering college, he thinks of to get out of the college. He's always thinking how to get out of this college. A fool thinks, I want to stay in this college year after year. So even though you may have this comfortable position in this life, the purpose is to get out of this world. The purpose of getting into this world is to get out of this world. If somebody thinks, I want to stay in this world life after life, what we can do about it? It's foolishness. But the purpose is to get out of the world. So Upanishads talk about how to get out of this world. And Krishna, what did he do? He took the essence of all the Upanishads and put in one book called Bhagavad Gita. That is why if you read one book, this is Bhagavad Gita, you don't have to have any other book. Now we discussed how we can study Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita should be studied under a spiritual master or a teacher. And what should be the qualification of the teacher? The first qualification of the teacher is that he should be a devotee of Krishna. Without being a devotee of Krishna, nobody can either understand Bhagavad Gita nor teach Bhagavad Gita. Like we heard from the Bhagavad Gita itself, where Krishna has told, Saevayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me saka chetirasya mituttamam. My dear Arjuna, I am telling this science to you because you are my devotee and you are my friend. So that itself shows that until unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, nobody can understand Bhagavad Gita. And also we understood certain principles or certain qualifications of spiritual master. Not only he should be a devotee in a particular sampradaya, he should be very knowledgeable of the scriptures, and he should be self-controlled, and he should teach by example. And the qualification of disciples or the student is, he should be inquisitive. And not only should be inquisitive, he should have service attitude, he should be humble, and he should be a devotee of Krishna. And yesterday we concluded by talking about Bhagavad Gita has 5 subject matters. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. Now today we are going to discuss about the second subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, that is Jiva. So let us understand what is Jiva. Jiva means living entity, or in simple terms, soul. Let us try to understand what is this Jiva, what is this soul. So it is very interesting to know that we are trying to know so many things. You ask somebody, do you know this? Yeah, I know this. I know this. When he says, I know this particular thing, You know that, but do you know who is knowing that? You say, I know. Do you know who is that I? And that is the subject matter of today. Who am I? Who is seeing? I am seeing. Are your eyes seeing? Is your mind seeing? What is seeing? Who is seeing that? Who is the person? What exactly is the thing which is seeing? Which is hearing? You are all hearing. Who are you? That is the point. So, the natural answer which comes out for everyone is, it is a soul. But now the position has gone so degraded, the society, that what to speak of accepting or not knowing about the soul, they don't even accept the existence of soul. They become so atheistic that even they don't even consider that soul exists. They just say that it is all some interaction of matter. By death, everything ends over. But it is not so. There is something called soul within our body, which is making all the bodily functions possible. So let us try to understand the soul. But before trying to understand the soul, we will try to know the proof of the existence of soul. Let us see the first proof of the existence of soul. The first proof of existence of soul is that the soul can be perceived even by just common sense. By common sense, you can understand there is something called soul which is beyond the body, which is making all the bodily functions possible. What is common sense? When somebody dies, suppose a great personality dies, in newspapers they publish, such and such a person passed away. What is the meaning of passed away? Like we say, this boy passed out of this college. What does it mean? He is not in the college anymore, he is somewhere else. And when we say such and such a person passed away, what does it mean? He is not here at present in the body, he is where? He is somewhere else. Like sometimes a child would go and ask the grandfather, ask the father, oh father, what has happened to your grandfather? He is not waking up. Then the father says, oh beta, he is gone. And the child says, what is this you are saying, he is gone? He is still lying down there, wake him up. Then the father says, no, you don't understand, my dear son. No, your grandfather is no more. What do you mean by no more? He is lying there. Then the father has to explain to the child, now your father, your grandfather is no more in this body. What is present here is his body only. He is no more present in this body. That means he is present elsewhere. Like in Hindi we say, वो चले गए बेटा, दादाजी चले गए, चल बसे, गुजर गए, इधर से गुजरे. Means what? He left from this place and went somewhere else. It is even a simple common sense. Even just by common sense we can understand that something has left out of the body which has made the body dead. Like the soul, when it leaves the body, what is lying there is only the body. So this is called, this is our identity. I am this soul who is living in this body. For some time we live in this body, and after some time when the body becomes unfit for us to stay, we go to some other body. As much as you have a cloth. When you use some clothes, when the clothes become torn out, very old and dirty, you give up the old clothes and take up new clothes. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navam girnahati naro purani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani vami samaditehi. As much as you give up the old garments and take up the new garments, in the same way we give up these old clothes, old body, and take up a new body. Like we stay in our house. As much as you stay in your house, but at the same time you are not in the house. You are staying in the house. You have a car. In the same way you have a body. You sit in the car and drive the car. the same way the soul is sitting in this body and driving this body. Suppose, for example, you are driving a car. I don't know, different companies' cars are available here. But in India, we have a very famous brand called Maruti. So somebody has got a Maruti car. And you go and ask that person, my dear sir, who are you? And if he says, I am Maruti, what do you call him? A mad person, isn't it? No. You are sitting in a Maruti car. In the same way, you ask a person here, who are you? I am a Sri Lankan. And they say, no, I am an Indian. It is foolishness. Because the soul is not Sri Lankan, nor an Indian, nor a Tamilian, nor anybody. The soul is beyond all these designations. What to speak of these things? You go and ask a lady, who are you? She says, I am a lady, I am a woman. No, the soul is not woman. At present, you are in a woman's body. After some time, maybe you may get some other body. As much as at present, you may be driving Benz. After some time, you may drive some other car. It is just the body which is like a vehicle. Suppose you are living in a house, rented house. You have an agreement. The agreement with the rented house gets over. What do? You give up that house and go to a new house. In the same way, I have an agreement with this body. It is only for some period, few years, we stay in this body and leave this body and go to another body. We are not this body. We are completely distinct from this body. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what you are looking at in the mirror is not you. It is your body. Sometimes we all celebrate birthdays, isn't it? We say, happy birthday to you. Actually, it is not happy birthday to you. It is happy birthday to your body. Because at the time of birth, it is not the soul which is born. It is actually the body which is born. You have been there. Generally, I always have this exercise in our children program. I generally call a child and ask, generally birthday party or something happens. Then I ask the child, how old are you? Then she says that I am 8 years old. I ask, where were you 4 years back? Oh, I was in India. I asked, where were you 6 years back? Oh, I was somewhere there. You asked, where were you 8 years back? 8.5 years back. I was in the mother's stomach. Okay, tell me, where were you 10 years back? Yes, you are there, but in a different body. So this is a fundamental concept. You don't have to be a big scholar to understand this thing. Even little bit of common sense is enough to come to a conclusion that something called soul is there within the body, which is beyond the body, but making all the bodily functions possible. Now, the second proof of the existence of soul, that is by intuitive understanding or by logic. If by common sense, somebody cannot understand even common sense, they want something logical. So let us talk something logic, some intuition, some intuitive understanding. Now once, Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya for this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he had gone to Dallas. In Dallas, Texas, there we had the first Gurukul there. There we sat down and the teachers there, and all the children were very excited to meet Prabhupada, who has come for the first time. Then he called one child, and the child was standing next to him, and he took one pen from the child and asked the child that whose pen is this? And the child wrote, this is my pen. Then Srila Prabhupada asked, are you this pen? The child, no, I am not this pen, this is my pen. Then Srila Prabhupada caught hold of the shirt of the boy and then asked this boy, whose shirt is this? The boy told, this is my shirt, I am wearing it. Then Srila Prabhupada asked that boy, are you this shirt? The boy told, no, I am not this shirt, this is my shirt. Then Srila Prabhupada caught hold of his hand and told, whose hand is this? The boy told, what is this you see? You are holding my hand and asking, whose hand is this? I can borrow somebody's shirt, I can borrow somebody's pen. I cannot borrow somebody's hand, definitely my hand only. Then this boy got confused. What these questions this Swamiji is asking me? Whose hand is this? This is my hand. Can you not understand? He told, it's my hand. Then Prabhupada asked, are you this hand? No, what is this strange? Are you this hand? No, I am not this hand. This is my hand. Then Srila Prabhupada asked, whose head is this? Then this boy really got confused out. And whose head is this? This is my head. Then again Srila Prabhupada asked, oh, this is your head. Are you this head? No, it's not. I'm not this head, this is my head. Then Srila Prabhupada asked the question to him, whose body is this? It's my body. Then Srila Prabhupada asked him, okay, are you this body? Why are you confused? There's something tricky here. This is my pen. So, I am not this pen. There is a distinction between me and my pen. This is my hand. So, I am not this hand. There is a distinction between me and my hand. This is my body. So, are you this body? That was the question. The boy was confused. If this is my hand and I am not this hand, if this is my head and if that is not my, I am not this head and this is my body, then naturally I am not this body. When the boy told Prabhupada in a very hesitating way, I am not this body, then Srila Prabhupada told, oh, you are not this body? Then who are you? Ghost or what? Completely confused this boy got. That shows that there is a distinction between me and my body. When I say this is my body, what I am saying is a distinction between me and my body. In English language, there is a simple sentence. A simple sentence means which is made up of a subject, object and a verb. For a simple sentence to be having some meaning, it should have some meaning, there should be a distinction between the subject and the object. The subject and the object should be two different things. When I say this is my body, is the verb, my, I, that is the subject and body is the object. That shows that there is a distinction between me and my body. I am just living in this body as much as I am living in my house. I am not the house, I am not the car. I am living in the house, I am driving the car. In the same way, I am in this body. It is very simple to understand. Just by simple logic, we can conclude that I am not this body. There is a distinction between me and my body. What I look in the mirror is my body, it is not me. When somebody says, I am a girl, no, she is not a girl. She is in a girl's body. At present, she is in a girl's body. After what happens, after 20 years, she will be in a woman's body. And after 30, 40, 50 years, she will be an old woman body. And after 100 years, it will be another body. Body is always changing. Dehino spinyata dehe kaumaram yavvaram jara tatat dehantara praptirtiras tatra mihate. You see, body is constantly changing. Though you have a photograph of a small boy and you are now a young man. Now you say, this is me, this is me. But what has happened? The body is totally changed. But you, the identity, the soul has not changed. That is why you say, this is me. Now going further, the third proof, somebody says, these are all just jugglery words. You people, you philosophers, you don't have any other work. You juggle words and try to brainwash all of us. Now, you talk something scientific, then only we'll hear. Logic and all, you are too expert in that, you try to fool us, you talk something scientific. Let us see what science talks about it. Science talks about consciousness. Now let us see consciousness, the study of consciousness. Whenever you open a science textbook, whether first standard or even third standard science textbook, they talk about living and non-living things. Though they talk about living and non-living things, they don't accept the existence of soul. That is a poor state of affairs in the modern education system. Though they talk about living and non-living things, and then say, now we'll talk about rocks only. We'll talk about water, mountains and all. We will not talk about living things. Because it's very dangerous. They don't have any idea of soul. They only talk about body. So let us see the distinction between a living thing and a non-living thing. Now you are all sitting on the chair. The chair, Vichara, doesn't say anything to you. If your friend sits on your lap for a few minutes, say, now please take your chair. Why? Because you felt the pain. Now what is there within you which made you feel the pain? What is not there in the chair by which the chair is not able to feel the pain? It is a very simple thing. It is the soul. You go stand in front of the door and shout at the door. Which the door doesn't feel bad. Would you shout at your friend? It feels bad. You kick the football. The football doesn't say anything to you. You kick your friend, he'll kick you back. Why? Because he felt the pain. So it is the soul's presence within the body which is making us feel the pleasure and pain. You go and kick a dead body. Will the dead body feel the pain? No. It will not feel the pain because consciousness is not there. It is the presence of consciousness which makes our body have all kinds of feelings, emotions, and a feeling of pleasure, misery, heat, cold. All these things are there because of the presence of consciousness. Now the consciousness is there flowing through the blood. The consciousness is a very simple thing. It is like the light emitting from the bulb. The bulb is there like the soul. The bulb can compare to the soul. As much as the bulb at one place, it emits light called consciousness. The same way soul, it being in the region of the heart, it emits a light called consciousness. And this consciousness spreads throughout the body, through the blood. You cut your hair, you don't feel the pain. You cut the nails, you don't feel the pain. You cut your finger, you feel the pain. Why? Because there is no blood flowing to the blood, to the hair. There is no blood flowing through the nails. That is why there is no consciousness. Since there is no consciousness, there is no feeling. But when you cut your finger, where the blood is flowing, there is an experience of pain. That shows there is consciousness, which is actually a symptom of soul. Consciousness is a proof of the existence of soul. Now people these days are thinking, no, this consciousness is nothing but a product of matter. Some chemicals, they combine with each other. And then the chemical combination, it reaches to a certain level of complexity, then it gives rise to conscious symptoms. This is how the science defines consciousness. They don't accept that there is something beyond matter. They are very much restricted to the periodic table. Those of you must have studied science or chemistry. You know there is something called a periodic table. In that they have mentioned few elements. And they say that this is all is existing in the entire universe. And whatever you see is nothing but the interaction of these material elements. No. Consciousness is not the interaction of material elements. If consciousness is the interaction of material elements, then people can produce life in the laboratories. They are producing so many things. They are producing gadgets, they are producing some kind of aircrafts. They are producing so many things. Why don't you produce some human beings in the laboratory? Do they have a factory where human beings are produced? Life is produced? No. It is impossible to produce life in the laboratories because they are only dealing with material things. Life or consciousness is beyond matter. There was a research many years back. Now they stopped the research because it became failure. The research was in the field of artificial intelligence. In this field of artificial intelligence, they had challenged the entire world that as much as you can come and order in a furniture shop that you want this kind of furniture, parents can come to us and order what kind of children they want. They want an engineering kind of children or medical kind of children. They want what kind of child you want. So you will prepare and we manufacture and give. So they tried a lot, but they became a failure. But they had a limited success. What was the success is like this. There is one company who was into artificial intelligence, a robotic company. There was one man who loved his wife and children so much that he wanted to give the best of the facility to them. For that he worked hard, he did business. What all he could do, he did. And somehow he became a billionaire. after a few years. Then what happened? His wife and children became a threat for him. He started thinking, my wife and children may kill me and take away all my property. Just see, he worked hard and became a billionaire to give some pleasure to them, some comfort to them. Now they only became the cause of his fear. So what he did? He drove them out of the house. Now he was feeling lonely. He was not feeling very happy without wife and children. So he went to this company and told, can you make a wife and child in your robot, in your company? He told, okay. So after a few months, they brought a wife robot and a child robot. And this person was amazed. Whatever he speaks, the robot wife was responding exactly the way his wife was to respond. And he was so happy, I got a robot wife, and exactly the way she used to behave, the robot is behaving. Thank you very much. At the same time, I have no threat from them. Few days passed by, he felt some problem is there. What was the problem? The robot wife was behaving exactly the way the wife used to behave, but what was the problem? This robot wife was not able to experience what his wife used to experience being along with him. What happened was, the robotic company decoded a program and the behavioral patterns of the wife, but they could not put the life into it by which they can experience. So that shows that life is beyond matter. Consciousness is beyond matter. That is why they know everything what is there in a cell. A living cell, what all chemicals are there, cytoplasm it is there, what is DNA, what is RNA, everything they know. The nuclear structure they know, but still they say, wait for some time, there is some missing thing. We are just going to find it out and going to create life. It is impossible. It is impossible because it cannot be manufactured by putting some chemicals. Now, going further, somebody may say, okay, this is all consciousness and all there, but what modern science talks about it? The fourth proof of the existence of soul is by the science themselves. The scientists, they have, or the doctors, they have experienced something very mystical. And they have recorded in the journals about two kinds of phenomena. One is known as out-of-body experience, other one is known as near-death experience. In the out-of-body experience, they have performed some operations, very complicated operations, where the patient is supposed to be in 100% coma, 100% unconscious. And after the operation got over, when the patient came back to consciousness, this patient narrates to the doctor what all happened in the operation theatre. The doctor was surprised. He asked the patient, you are unconscious, how do you know what all happened in the theatre, in the operation theatre? The patient says, I went out of the body and I saw all of you working on my body. And it is recorded in the medical journals. Who went out of the body? Who experienced? Near-death experience. These are other things. The person is declared dead, but somehow he comes back to life again. And after that, he starts narrating some strange experiences. And these experiences are almost similar. And not only they are similar, their surprising aspect is these experiences are related or almost the descriptions of hell given in the Vedic literatures. That means these people had gone out of the body, experienced it, came back. So who went and came back? The body is lying there. That shows there's something beyond the body called soul. Now you may say these are all scientific things, but I need to experience the soul. How can you prove that I have soul? Fifth proof. That is past life memories. There are so many cases of past life memories, not one. Ian Stevenson written one book called 2000 Cases of Reincarnation, Proved, Verified and Proved. He collects different stories of reincarnation. Small children, they are narrating the stories of they being somebody in the previous life. They are telling their father, please take me to this place. There is one case in Bengal where one small girl, Meenu, she was telling her father right from like she was able to speak from that time onwards. She started telling the father, Father, please take me to this village. I want to meet. And she was telling some names. The father got confused. What is this she's telling? Somehow when she reached the age of 4 or 5, she became really adamant that I need to go. And the father, somehow he took her to the village. And once the vehicle reached the village, she was giving directions, take right turn, left turn like that. And the vehicle reached to a house and she told stop here. And she got down from the vehicle and she started going towards the house and trying to enter through a place. There was only a wall there. Those in the house, they came out and then told that earlier there was a door here. After the death of her daughter-in-law, we closed the door and made a wall there. And she went inside the house and she was recognizing everyone. She could narrate some incidences which happened about 20 years back in the house. Like that, not one or two cases, there are innumerable cases. So if there is a previous life, what is the thing which came out of the previous life's body and came to this body? Now you may say, it does not happen to me. You may say, but it happens to you, with everyone, to all of us. It is for sure. We all see dreams. You may remember, you may not remember. Sometimes in our dreams, what happens? We go to a place where we have never been to. Sometimes in our dreams, we meet some people whom we have never met in this life. Where are these impressions coming from? They are all coming from the previous life. So if there is a previous life, what is the thing which is connecting the previous life to this life? Soul. So these are the 5 kinds of proof of the existence of soul. Number 1, common sense. Number 2, logic or intuitive understanding. 3, the presence of consciousness. 4, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences. And the 5th one is past life memories. Now you may say, okay, you're talking about soul, but what exactly is it? Now, before trying to know what exactly this soul is, we'll try to know what this body is. What this whole body, what the setup of the body, how it is functioning, what is there in it. The anatomy of the human body, the real anatomy of the body, of our existence, of our whole body. You are looking at me, I am looking at you, you are your friend. What exactly makes up the entire thing? Like you have subject in medical science, anatomy. They just trisect the body and say this kidney, this pancreas, like that they say. But according to our Vedic literatures in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that there are 10 things within the body. What are those 10 things? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego, soul and the super soul. These are the 10 distinct things which are there in our body. So, within these 10 things there are 2 distinct categories. The first category is the gross body, Stula Sharira. And the second is the spiritual body. One is the material body, other is the spiritual body. The material body consists of 8 things. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. This is called the material body. And there is one soul and the super soul, they are spiritual. They constitute the spiritual body. Now let us see. Let us talk about the material body first. This material body has 2 distinct sections again. Like we discussed about earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. These 2 distinct sections are there. The material body has one part that is the gross material body, Stula Sharira, and the other part is Sukshma Sharira. And what is this Stula Sharira? Stula Sharira means gross body, that which can be perceived. That is earth, water, fire, air, ether. You must have heard about the Panch Mahabhutas. These Panch Mahabhutas constitute the gross body, and earth, mind, intelligence and false ego, that constitute the subtle body or the Sukshma Sharira. To have a better idea about gross body and subtle body, we will try to have an analogy or example of a computer. In the computer there is hardware and software. The hardware of the computer can be compared to the gross body. The software of the computer can be compared to the subtle body. Now, suppose somebody is not behaving properly. First he is taken to a neurologist. He checks the brain, everything, and he says his brain is perfectly okay, no problem. Then he says, why is he not behaving properly? He says, this is different department, go to a psychiatrist. Now psychiatrist deals with what? Deals with the mind. And the neurologist deals with the brain. The brain is the gross thing. There's a mind, you cannot just measure the mind. How long is your mind? How many kilos is your mind? No, the subtle body is subtle, sukshma. You cannot measure it by gross means. So that shows there is a distinct difference between the mind and the brain. The modern medical science, they don't even have any idea of mind and intelligence and false ego. They don't have any idea of the subtle body. Then what to speak of soul and super soul? They just have an idea of 2% of the grossest part of the gross body. That's all. For that, they study for 5 years. After studying for 5 years also, they cannot come to know what exactly it is. Just to study about teeth, they take 5 years. And they don't have any idea of even fire, ether, and vata. There is no idea about it. The grossest part of the gross body is being studied. What to speak of mind? They don't even accept the existence of mind. You go and ask a scientist, how is the mind made up of? Which chemical it is made up of? He will say, mind is mind. It is just, it is not chemicals, it is actually electromagnetic something they say. What is electromagnetic? So there is a distinction between the gross body and the subtle body. There is a distinction between the mind and the brain. So let us try to understand something about the gross body. That is earth, water, fire, air, ether. Our body contains earth. You say, how earth is there? Earth is down. You eat something grown from the earth, the grains which are grown from the earth, and because of that you have flesh and bones. And that shows that the flesh and the bones, that is nothing but the transformation of earth. Number 2, water is there, 70% of the body is water. Fire is there inside our body, that is why our body temperature is more than the ambient temperature. Water, fire, air is there, that is why we are able to do all our movements. Our body is known as a pneumatic machine. They have no idea about how the airs are functioning in the body. When paralysis happens, the doctors are completely confused. To fool the entire world, they say, there is some problem with the brain. Actually, it's nothing with the brain, it is the vata. It is something problem with the airs. The movement of the airs are not proper. That is why you are not able to lift in spite of bones and muscles being there. We don't move or because of the muscles of the bones. The movements of the bodies are happening because of the 10 kinds of airs. 5 primary and the 5 secondary kinds of airs. And the 5th one, that is ether, I'm able to speak. We are able to speak because the ethereal presence is in our body. And not only that, there is mind. We are able to think. Mind is nothing but a river. In the river, water flows, but the mind is such a river where thoughts flow. What kind of thoughts flow? All kinds of thoughts. Good, bad, ugly, favorable, unfavorable, you name it. All kinds of thoughts are flowing in the mind. Mind is the river of thoughts. And now beyond the mind there is intelligence. And what does the intelligence do? The intelligence is a capacity within us by which we can discriminate between good and bad, right and wrong, profitable, non-profitable, etc. etc. The discriminative capacity, vichakshana shakti, that is called intelligence. So in the channel or in the river of mind, all thoughts are flowing, and now somebody who is very intelligent, he picks up the right thought. That is why we say he is an intelligent boy. Why? Because in the mind there are so many thoughts which are flowing, but he picks up only the right one, the intelligent boy picks up the right one, the favorable one, the profitable one. Now going further, beyond the mind and intelligence, is something called false ego. It is very difficult to understand false ego, but still I'll try to explain. Sometimes you sleep. Very rare you get that kind of sleep where when you get up you don't know who you are. Whether it is day or night. Where you are. It's called deep sleep. Especially when you are very tired and you just sleep, you don't know. When you wake up, you don't even know that you exist. Gradually there is a trigger which happens. Yes, my name is this, I am so and so. Oh, it is now day, it is this time, this is this place. So, the subtle thing within us which makes us identify that I am so and so, that is called false ego, that is called ahankara. Now these three, that is mind, intelligence and false ego, these three makes up the subtle body. Now, we discussed about the gross body and the subtle body. These two make up the material body. Now we talk about the spiritual body. In spiritual body there are two things. One is the soul and the super soul. Let us see what is this soul all about. Soul is distinct from the mind. Like in the computer you have the hardware and software, both are there. Will the computer run? Until unless you put it to the plug and electricity flows, the computer will not run. Though you have the gross body and the subtle body, until unless the soul, which is the plug point, through which the current called consciousness flows through it, the gross and the subtle body cannot do its functionalities. That is why in our analogy we compared the gross body to the hardware, the subtle body to the software of the computer, the current which is flowing to the consciousness, and the plug point to the soul. Once you remove the connection between the computer and the plug point, what happens? Stops. That's what is death. Now, this soul and the mind both are distinct from each other. This is the problem which the modern Western philosophers and the Buddhistic philosophers they have. They think the mind is the soul and the soul is the mind. Sometimes they mistake and they call the mind itself the soul. Sometimes people say, in Hindi they say, Atma ko dukhi mat karo. Actually what they mean to say is, don't hurt the mind. These are the desires of the Atma. No, these desires of the mind. The soul is distinct from the mind. It is totally spiritual. Mind is material. The soul is spiritual. Now going further, there is something called super soul. What is a super soul? The super soul is nothing but the source of the souls. Like, you have many plug points. Where is electricity coming to all the plug points? It is coming from a powerhouse. And that is a super soul, that is the supreme God. So there is super soul, there is soul, the consciousness, the subtle body and the gross body. Now the whole thing we will have a better understanding when we discuss about one incident which is going to happen in everybody's life. And nobody wants to hear about that incident. Never want to even think about it. That is the only definite thing which is going to happen in everybody's life. Nobody wants to think about it. What is it? Death. Let us see what happens at the time of death. It is very interesting to note. At the time of death, what happens is the soul goes out of the body. But it doesn't go alone. You remember the gross, subtle body? Mind, intelligence and false ego. The mind, intelligence, false ego, it encages, it covers the soul and it takes the soul from one body, one gross body to another body. That means whatever subtle body we had in the previous life, that is coming to this life also, along with the soul. So what is lying down at the time of death is what? Just the gross body only. The super soul is just like a manager. Okay, we'll all go from here and do this. That is the reason we have previous life memories. That is the reason no two children are the same. Though the souls are the same. Everybody, the soul is the same. The nature of the soul is the same, Satchitananda, Satchitananda. But why no two people are the same? Because the impressions which we carry forward from the previous lifetimes, they are different. It is like a camera. In the camera, what happens? You're taking different photographs. It's all there in the chip. So what all we have done in the previous lives, in the lifetimes, they are all stored in the mind as impressions known as sanskars. One child is very naughty, one child is very sober and intelligent. Why? Sometimes they are born of the same parents, sometimes they may be twins too. The only thing is, both of them had different sanskars, different impressions, different kinds of impressions in the previous life. That is why it is so important that whatever we see, whatever we hear, through all our senses, whatever perception happens, if they are good, then our sanskars are good. If they are all very horrible, then our sanskars are also very bad. Because everything, whatever we see, whatever we hear, has an impact on the mind. And that is carried forward through life and to the next life. In this way, we have a perfect understanding. The gross body, the subtle body carries the soul from one gross body to another gross body. Now we discussed about this whole soul and how from one gross body to another gross body the soul is transferred or the super soul. There are some kind of philosophers who say the soul and the super soul are same. No. They are qualitatively same, but quantitatively distinct. Some people say, Atma Paramatma mein leen. The soul merges in the super soul. It never happens. The soul and the super soul have their individuality, a distinct individuality for eternity. The soul is also Satchitananda, the super soul is also Satchitananda, but the soul or Atma is Anu. And the super soul is Vibhu. Vibhu means great. So there is a distinction between the brain and the mind, mind and the soul, soul and the super soul. These are the three confusions which are existing in this world. The first confusion, they think the mind to be the brain, brain to be the mind. That is there in the modern scientists and medicos. Second confusion, the so-called Western philosophers, the Buddhists, they think the mind and the soul both are same. They think mind to be the soul and soul to be the mind. Third confusion, the so-called Vedic philosophers, who are called Mayavadis, who think themselves to be very great scholars, they are totally confused. They think the soul to be the super soul and super soul to be the soul. So these three distinctions are to be known. That's all. Now going further. Oh Prabhuji, you are talking so much about this. But tell me about what exactly is the soul? You spoke about body, the mind and so many things. I want to know about the soul. Now we'll talk about the soul, the qualities of the soul. The first and foremost quality of the soul is that it is eternal. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita vanabhuyaha ajo nitya shashtoyam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. This is the jayate. Na jayate means the soul is not born. Na mriyate means the soul never dies. It says kadachit, it has never happened, neither in the past. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva, nor it has happened in the past. Nor it is going to happen in the future. Bhavita vanabhuya, nor it is happening now. It is aja, it is never born. Nityaha, it is eternal. Shashvatoyam, it is permanent. Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body dies, the soul doesn't die. When somebody dies, people start saying, oh, you died, he died, he died. No, he has not died. What happened is his body died. Actually, what to speak of saying body died? The body is always dead. The body is always dead. It is just because the presence of soul in the body seems to be alive. It seems to be alive. But it is our foolishness. What we do? for the whole life we just take care of the body. We just only think of the body, which is actually dead. And the body seems to be alive just because of the presence of the soul, and we totally forget about it. That is an unfortunate condition. The misfortune is that we never bother about the soul. We only bother about the body, which is actually dead matter only. Actually, when somebody is in ICU, very critical condition, somebody's father is in critical condition, there are 4 or 5 children, they are spending lakhs and lakhs of rupees. But once the doctor says he's dead, what they will do with the body? They burn it. Now tell me, they spend so much of money to whom? To soul. But we forget it. We don't have knowledge about it. And somehow we want that His presence should be there in the body, continue. It will continue. How long? It is not going to continue. That is why the eternity of the soul has to be understood. The soul was there even, we were there before, even this body was there. Even after this body, we will be still existing. This is the first qualification, the first quality of the soul is eternal. Na jayate priyate va kadachit. Never it has happened that we are born and we celebrate birthdays. Never it happened that we are going to die and we say, oh, he died, we cry for somebody's death. Now going further. Second quality of the soul. What is the second quality of the soul? That is Sat Chit. It is Chinmaya. Chinmaya means what? It is knowledgeable, it is conscious. And because of the presence of the soul only we are able to experience the pleasure of pain and different aspects of this of life. All the emotions we are experiencing because of the presence of soul. That is why the soul is called conscious, it is Chinmaya. The third quality of the soul. What is the third quality of the soul? The third quality of the soul is, it is Anandamaya. You must have heard this term, Sachidananda. What is Sachidananda? Sat comes from the word Sanatan. Chit comes from the word Chaitanya, Chinmaya. And Ananda means what? Bliss. The soul is blissful. It is always happy. You may say, the soul is always happy, why am I suffering? It is because you forgot your original nature. The blissful nature of the soul, you forgot, that is why you are suffering. Now, there is an example given of a Kasturi Mriga. There is a musk deer. From its body, wonderful fragrance comes out of its body, this deer. And this deer is thinking, where is this fragrance coming from? It thinks, it is coming from here, let me go. It starts going towards this direction. The more faster it walks, the more faster it runs, the fragrance from its body increases. Then it thinks, I am going to just near the place where the fragrance is coming from. It starts running. The more it runs, the more fragrance it comes. This foolish deer doesn't know it's coming from its own body. It runs and runs and runs, and one day what happens? It just falls down and dies. This is our story. We're all trying to find out, yes, my happiness is there. Let me go. This restaurant, that movie, this channel, that place, this person. And we are running here and there trying to find out where is happiness, where is happiness. What is the problem? We never looked at ourselves. Like the foolish deer did not look at itself. The happiness is only the spiritual platform. The soul is naturally happy. We forgot about it. And we try to seek happiness on the material platform. Where it is actually dead. It is just dead matter. So we are all trying to seek Ananda. We forgot. It is there within yourself. Like a person who is searching for his wristwatch. He searched everywhere and he says, oh, where did I keep the watch? And he sees it's here only. He is searching for happiness everywhere except where it is. Like sometimes it so happens that you are coming from your office to your home. It is late night. And it so happens you put your hand in the pocket, keys are lost. And you go back to your office searching. You drove your car. Where were you searching? Exactly at the place where the street light is there. Just because there is light there, do you think you must have lost there only? No, you might have lost his keys anywhere. We are all searching for happiness, but where? Wherever we can perceive. There are some alternative sources of happiness. Why just restrict our whole consciousness to find out happiness where people are trying to search out? Trying to search out happiness only in spiritual platform. Because the soul is naturally happy. It is the nature of the soul to be happy. This is the problem we are all facing. And instead of concentrating on the real problem, that is self-realization, we are concentrating on what? So many different problems. Actually, the real problem is, we are already 30, 40, 50 years, 50, 60 is going to come. Till now, we have not understood that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I have not learned the Bhagavad Gita, that is the real problem. When the real problem is not understood, we have a list of many problems in our life. The solution to all the problems in the life is to understand when you have the real problem. I'll tell you a small incident. There was one person who wanted to buy a Mercedes. And he was not very rich. He used to earn few thousand rupees a month. And somehow for 15 years he worked hard and saved every penny so that one day he had enough bank balance to go and do the down payment and get the car. He went there, he gave the check, and then he was driving the car back to his house. So he was driving the car, enjoying very nicely. What happened? A truck came and they had an accident. And his car was smashed. Somehow he was alive. He came out of the accident-prone car and he started shouting at the truck wala. He started shouting at the truck driver, "You rascal, you idiot! I'll take you to the police station." The truck wala told, "Dear sir, police station all later. Come and sit in my truck is okay. I'll take you to the hospital." No. Why I should go to the hospital? I'll take you to the police station. The truck wala told, "Sir, that is all later. I am going to come to the police station. But first, it is required that you need to come to the hospital. Please come." Why I should go to hospital? Then the truck driver told, "Please look at your hand." And he saw his forearm was cut. And this piece has gone and fallen somewhere. And the blood was oozing out. This person became so angry on this truck driver and told, "Now I am really going to kill you. Because of you, I lost my golden watch also." Just he's crying for the car. He's getting angry because he lost his watch. But he should be concerned about what? His hand. That should be our real concern. That the time is passing away and no self-realization. We are just still rotting in matter and trying to extract some enjoyment out of it, and which is not going to satisfy anyone. Because you are not this body, you are spirit soul. Since you are soul, only spiritual things can satisfy. The soul is spiritual and you are spiritual, you are soul, the soul is spiritual, only spiritual things can satisfy us. We are not this body, body is matter. Nothing material can satisfy the body. Impossible. If matter can satisfy us, a person who has the best of the material asset should be happy. Why they are taking to drugs? Why they are frustrated? Especially in Western countries, You see, all the best facilities are available for everything. But still they are frustrated. What is the reason? The reason is, matter cannot satisfy. No amount of whatever quality of the matter it may be, no amount of how much quantity of matter it may be, no amount of sophistication in matter it may be, it can never satisfy anyone because we are not matter. We are spiritual beings. What is the proof of it? Because the soul is spiritual. And only spiritual things can satisfy. That is a real problem. We are concerned about so many problems in life. I got financial problem, I got this problem. But these are not the real problems. The real problem is the time is passing by, we don't know Bhagavad Gita. That is the real problem. Like a child is crying. Oh. Mother comes and asks, why are you crying? What is the problem? The child says, India lost the cricket match, or Sri Lanka lost the cricket match. I have to say Sri Lanka lost the cricket match here, I suppose. And mother says, hey, tomorrow is your exam. The child immediately opens the book and starts studying. He stops crying. Because realization or knowing there is a higher problem for me. Tomorrow exams are there, I have not studied. That is a solution for the lower problems. The real and higher problem is, the time is passing by and I have not known Bhagavad Gita. I have not got self-realization, and that is the reason our mind is diverted to all kinds of simple petty problems. He told that, no, she did not respect me, she did not welcome me properly. Oh, we went there, but we are not cared for. What is all these things? The real thing is, the time is passing by, and every second gone means that 1 second we are near to death. So we are just losing. So this is the knowledge of the soul that is going to give us the real benefit of life. That is why Krishna, when he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, the first thing what he gave was the knowledge of the soul. In the second chapter, starting from the 11th verse to the 30th verse, he just speaks to Arjuna about different aspects of the soul, how it is distinct from the body. Actually, it is the knowledge of the soul which makes a person spiritual. Without the knowledge of the soul, all the so-called rituals, they are all just religiosity. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna told Arjuna, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Sarvadharman parityajya. So, don't be religious. Why people become religious? Because the lack of the soul, knowledge of the soul makes a person religious. Krishna tells Arjuna, you be on the spiritual platform. What makes religiosity spiritual is the knowledge of the soul. When the basis of all our activities is the knowledge of the soul, then it is spiritual. Even though you may be doing some kind of austerity, some kind of sacrifice, some kind of charity, without the knowledge of the soul, that leads you to be ritualistic. That makes you religious, but not spiritual. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, don't be religious, be spiritual. How? When you have the knowledge of the soul, which is the most important aspect of the Bhagavad Gita. Now you may say, what is the benefit which the world is going to have? You name a problem in this world. All the problems in the world has got its solution in one statement. I am not this body, I am spirit soul. You name a problem in this world, it has got its solution in this one statement. Let us see one problem. The racial problem. The soul is neither black nor white. You name a problem of economic problem. It is because of the greed, and the greed is because of the identification of the body. I think I am the body. And to give security to the body, I just accumulate more and more. So this one line, that I am not this body, I am spirit soul, is a solution to all the problems in this world. Now sometimes people would say, Oh, thank you very much for the knowledge of the soul. I pray that at the time of death, let my soul go out of the body. I want to be here only. It is not that my soul leaves the body. It is I, the soul, who leave the body at the time of death. I have to leave. And when I come back, the bank balance of the previous life has no value. You go to the bank manager, previous life I had deposited 1 crore rupees. No, you cannot withdraw. What to speak of previous life? Bank balance. Previous life I had done PhD. Again go to nursery. Again learn ABCD. So, this is the knowledge about the soul. So we stop here. Any questions? As I told yesterday, the most important part of our course is not what I am going to speak. The most important part of the course is what you are going to ask. Any questions? Please ask.
Everything is understood.
Yes.
What is the question about people in the modern world? You used to asking what's in it for me, right?
Yes.
You're saying, okay, anyway, I'm not going to enjoy the next life, or I won't have the consciousness to enjoy the next life. Why should I take care of my soul this life?
Okay.
How do I get the benefit of taking care of my soul this life in the next life?
Nice question. So to put your question in simple terms, if I become spiritual this life, what is the benefit which I am going to get? Either this life or the next life, isn't it? What's in it for me? First thing is, as soon as you take up the process of self-realization, the first benefit is kleshagni. You will not be affected by the miseries of this world. It is not that the miseries or the difficulties are not going to come. They are going to come. If somebody says, oh, take my blessings, no problems will be in your life, that is fooling you. Are going to come, but will not be affected. Like, rains are going to come, but if you have an umbrella, you will not be affected by it. As soon as you take up the process of Krishna consciousness, spirituality, the first and the immediate benefit is, though the miseries come, though the difficulties come, you are not affected by it. This is the immediate benefit. That is, you may say, in this life. In the next life, if you have perfected your self-realization in this life, in the next life you will not take birth, you will be in the spiritual world. At least I don't have to go to the school and the college and get these beatings and scoldings from the teacher and the mother and all these things. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tektva punarjanma naiti mameti sojana. You don't have to take birth in this material world. You will go to the spiritual world, where there is only bliss, there is no misery. So that is the benefit we get in the next life. Of course, it is very difficult for a person in this world who is very new to Krishna consciousness to perceive the benefit in the next life. To perceive that. But immediately what you can perceive is kleshagni. All the miseries, they may be coming, maybe more problems may come, but you are unaffected. To give you a small example, Duryodhana was in the palace, so many servants, so many soldiers to protect him. He was very powerful, he was a king. Pandavas were in the forest. They had nobody to protect them. All the Pandavas at night, they were sleeping peacefully in spite of all the cruel animals around them. But Duryodhana, for 14 years, could not sleep. He was just thinking, after 14 years, if they can, what's going to happen? 14 years now, it's only first year, sleep, no? They could not. So in spite of all the material things around him, he was affected by the miseries of this world. But the Pandavas were not affected. Why? Because they had Krishna along with them. So what's in it for me? The first thing is immediate and ultimate. The immediate effect is, will not be affected. The ultimate is that we will go back home, back to God, to Krishna. We will never take birth again in this world, which is so miserable. This is what is benefit. Any more questions?
Why is the belief that this life is miserable?
Nice question.
Because we all live a happy life also. But
Nice
of course, we have sufferings,
Yeah.
but there are happy moments also.
Nice
Why
question.
do we consider that this life is full of suffering, unbearable, therefore we need to find an exit?
Nice question. Yeah, please.
And one more question is that, is a spiritual world that we are talking about after death,
Nice.
peaceful
nice.
death or whatever,
Yeah.
to me it looks very hypothetical and
Very
unbelievable.
Very good.
Is there a proof, the way you talked about soul and the proof,
Yeah. And talk.
is there anything like that?
Nice question. So the first is, why do we believe that we are suffering? That was your first line. And the second line is, yeah, suffering is there a little bit, but it is not always the case, isn't it? Yes, it is true. Suffering is not always the case. After suffering, definitely there is some happiness. And of happiness, definitely there is suffering. So the happiness which is experienced by people in general in the world is nothing but a sandwich between two sufferings. That's how you define. Or you can say the misery is nothing but a sandwich between two happiness. If you take the first case, the happiness is a sandwich between two sufferings. If you take it like that, it is like having a burnt, when you toast the bread, it becomes burnt if you keep it for a long time. Two burnt breads, but in between there is nice butter. So when you eat it, what happens? Though nice butter, but what do you say? You take the other way around. Your nice piece, two pieces of bread, but in between the butter has been spoiled. It has become bitter because the fridge was not functioning or something like that. When you eat it, what happens? You say, I'm giving this example, but generally in India I give this example of kheer. Nice kheer. It is sweet rice. You cook rice in the milk, put some sugar, it's very tasty. Very wonderful. Lot of dry fruits are there, everything is there, so wonderful. Just one spoon of sand is there, that's all. Just one spoon. But though everything is wonderful, that one spoon is not the nature of the soul. As you're told, yes, some suffering is there. In spite of a nice, wonderful holiday, you have a wonderful 1 week holiday, everything went according to your plan, you enjoyed a lot. What happened is, when you came back to your house, you caught up with a disease. Which will be more concerned for you? What will you talk about? You talk about your disease, your fever, your cold. Not you, your son fell sick. It may happen. I'm not talking about all cases. We'll talk about that. Now, we go deeper into that. Why we talk about that? It is because the nature of the soul is to eternally enjoy. Little bit misery is not the nature of the soul. That is why we talk about that only. So any compromise, okay, little bit enjoyment, little bit misery, it's okay. That is not satisfying to the soul at all. That is why we are aiming for an eternal life of enjoyment in the spiritual world. Now, your next question is there something spiritual world? It is very hypothetical. First thing is, I will talk something which the modern science also accepts. Those of you who have studied some physics at higher level, there's so much of research was done in many years to find out what is atom, what are the components within the atom. First, Dalton told atom is the smallest indivisible substance. And then he told, Rutherford told, no, atom has got electron, proton, neutron. Later on somebody told, no, electron, proton, neutron, positron is also there. And after some time somebody told another tron is there. They came that there are 28 things in atom. And later on they started saying, for these 28 elements to be balanced, present in that particular atom, for that they need to be anti-electron, there need to be anti-proton, and ultimately they said is something called anti-matter. Otherwise, this matter cannot exist the way it is existing. So now this is what the physics textbook talk about. When they say about anti-matter, what they are referring to? What is exactly opposite of matter? Is spiritual. If you say the entire world is material, if they accept that every atom should have an anti-matter, anti-atom, which is spiritual, then the whole world should have something anti-matter but it's spiritual. Okay. Now, the philosophical argument behind this is material world. Everywhere there is matter. Do you think it just came by chance? It has been created. Where from it has been created? Any movement of matter which happens in this world, it is because there is a spirit behind it. When you come to this room, you find the chairs are arranged very nicely. Chairs, they don't move on its own accord. There is a conscious person who has an intention behind it, he moves the matter. So if you go by the same logic, the entire material world was created. From where it was created, by whom it was created, there should be a platform where this material world is being held. Newton told us one point, give me a fixed point, I lift the entire earth. Give me a fixed point, I lift it. So this material world is existing. Where is it existing? On the spiritual platform. There is a spiritual sky, Sanatana Dharma. The soul is spiritual. It is eternal. If this is eternal, there should be an eternal place where the soul exists. That is called the spiritual world. Now, this material world, what we are experiencing Asat, Achit, Nirananda. Exactly opposite. In Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, he talks about this thing. He says, Urdhamulam adashakam ashaktam prahuravyam chandams yasya parnani yastam vedasa vedavid. He says that there is a tree where the roots are upwards and the branches are downwards. And this tree is the material world. And generally you have this tree, where do you experience this tree? You experience this tree on the bank of a river or a lake. Where you have the original tree and the reflection is found. Everything is ulta here. Everything is reflection here. So that shows that there is the original tree, the real tree. Where everything is found in its proper perspective. Last point. Everybody in this world is searching for what? Happiness. But they are not finding it. Even they find it, it is mixed with misery. Why they are searching, tell me? Why we are searching for happiness? What do you generally search for? For something which you have lost. Isn't it? Number one. for something which you have knowledge about. Everybody is searching for happiness. The very word search indicates two things. Number one, we have lost. Number two, we had it and we experienced it. So where did we lose? When did we lose? And where did we experience? We experienced that in some other world, that is spiritual world. The very search and the quest for happiness and the quest for eternity. Nobody wants to die. That means we all had an experience of deathlessness. Where is that possible? It is not possible anywhere in this world. That means there is a world where there is deathlessness. There is a world where there is eternal happiness, which we had experienced for, and we are trying to search these two things here. Some people say, you spiritualists, you always talk about negative things, don't enjoy. Rather we say that enjoyment is the nature of the soul. But it is wrong to find that enjoyment in the wrong place. There is nothing wrong in enjoyment, because the nature of the soul is to enjoy. But what is the problem? We are searching it at a wrong place. It is only found in the spiritual world. Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
What is controlling us the most? Is it mind or intelligence or ego or soul or super soul? Which is controlling us the most?
Yes. The concept of what is controlling us the most is not really dealt till now, because on the day 4 we'll try to talk about the modes of nature, Prakriti. That is Sattva, Rajas, Tama. Everybody is born with a particular nature, and that nature controls us. The nature is present subtly in the level of false ego, and as it grows down, it is present in mind, intelligence, and in the entire body too. Like you have a child. The child is born with a particular nature. Everybody is born with a particular nature, and they are forced to act according to the particular nature. It is for sure. Now, by association, you have a good friend, and your friend invited you to the Bhagavad Gita class. And what has happened? Though you have a particular nature, because of a higher association, you got a higher principle by which you govern your life with. So, though everybody is born with a particular nature and forced to act according to nature, and by divine influence, if you associate with a proper person, you can go beyond your nature. It is possible. It may not be possible immediately, but it is possible over a period of time. So it's a very technical question, which will be known and become more and more clear to you as you attend our Bhagavad Gita classes, not only just for this week, but which is going to happen in Colombo weekly, which we are going to announce in a couple of days. So if you attend that, then you will understand more about this thing. More questions?
Other
How to
religions
maintain the Krishna consciousness.
How to maintain the Krishna consciousness? You are the same person who asked how to become a devotee? I think you already become yesterday. So you're asking how to maintain. How do you maintain your family? How do you maintain your business? You maintain your family, you maintain your business. How? By giving attention to it. When you are concerned about your family, you maintain them. When you're concerned about the business, you maintain the business. The first and foremost thing is, you should be concerned about my Krishna consciousness. If you are not concerned about your Krishna consciousness, you will not be able to maintain it. The first principle of maintaining our Krishna consciousness is to be with a person who is already Krishna conscious. Without association, you cannot maintain Krishna consciousness. It is by nature's law, it so happens when you take up Krishna consciousness, there will be something which pushes you away from Krishna consciousness. Then what happens? You should have a person next to you who pulls you back. Somebody calls you, yes, satsang program is there, you come. You might have planned to go to a movie. And you say, he has called me, I should go. Again back to track. Okay? So this is the first thing. As I told on the last day, we are going to discuss more about it. The whole last day is dedicated to practical application of Bhagavad Gita. There we will talk more. Yes, your question.
Yeah, actually, this belief on soul and the way you explained, it all pertains to what we all are being taught. Let's say Bhagavad Gita and Krishna and all that. It's just more Indian contextual, right? It
Yes.
is not. It doesn't look universal. Let's say a person living in US or Europe. Does he believe the same thing? Does he believe soul and existence of soul? There are several other religions. Let's say Christianity,
Yes.
Mohammedanism.
Yeah.
What is their belief? And, is there any
Yeah, I know.
convergence of thoughts?
Yes. It is not that everybody in India believes it.
At least we are exposed more.
Yeah. See, this word India was given by the British. This word India was not there a few hundred years back. Even the word Hindustan was given by the Muslims. It is actually Bharat. This Bharata Varsha, this Bharata Kanda, as described in the Vedic literatures, the entire earth and even beyond is known as Bharata Varsha and Bharata Kanda. And is ruled by Bharata, King Bharata. So to just restrict this small piece of land and say this is India and this Bhagavad Gita is for India, it is wrong. You go to Cambodia, you have the biggest Vishnu temple there. And I'll just talk about something very interesting. In Canada, there are big churches. And all the churches have a cross. And in Canada especially, these crosses are placed exactly above a huge chakra. You go and ask the father, where is this one? They don't have any idea. The Vedic civilization was present everywhere throughout the world. The same Veda, especially the Puranas, the Bhavishya Purana, talks about the appearance of Jesus and Muhammad. As I have told yesterday, Veda means knowledge. Whatever knowledge you find in this world, either it is from Veda or a perverted reflection of the Veda. It has nothing to do with any sectarianism. There is a description of how, in the Puranas, certain kings deviated from the Vedic culture and they became Yavanas. All the civilizations in this world, they have been named, giving different names in the Vedic literatures. They are nothing different from Veda. It is actually it's one thing. We have made a distinction. You are Hindu, you are Muslim, you are that, you are this. No. Yesterday also I answered this question when somebody asked about the similar point. Mathematics is the same for everyone. Whether you go to Europe or America, it is the same for everyone. That is why Srila Prabhupada, when he went to the West, he just presented the science. And whoever are interested in the science, they took it up. So it's a wrong idea that in India everybody believes about soul. Actually, it is more tougher to make Indians to understand the concept of soul. Especially when you go to some pious Indians with this book called Bhagavad Gita, They say, Bhagavad Gita, we know very well. What karmanyavadikaraste? So instead of they learning from you, they even start teaching you. So it's more difficult. So it is not actually dependent on the country, it is not dependent on any religion, it is not dependent on anything. It is all dependent on the individual. If that individual is open to self-realization, he'll accept it. If he has closed his eyes towards self-realization, thinks, no, I am Sri Lankan, I am Indian, I am Hindu, I am Muslim, then Bhagavad Gita will not reveal, the science will not reveal. As much as when you send your child to the school, or somebody sends your child to the school, the teacher is teaching science. This science, who told this thing? Edison told. He is not from this country, why I should listen? Newton told, no, Newton doesn't belong to this country. Oh, Newton is a Christian, I am a Muslim, why I should listen to him? It is foolishness. If something is logical, something is really acceptable, why not accept it? Who anybody says. Let anybody say. If Krishna has said something illogical, why I should accept it? If Krishna has said something logical, I should accept it. Because it's science. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita told Jatasya Dhruva Mrityu. For a person who is born, death is certain. Tell me what is Hinduism in it, what is Islam in it, what Indian, Sri Lankan has got to do with that? Nothing. It is just truth. So one who has gone beyond the classifications of country, religion, only their eyes are open to self-realization. So that's what it means. So we stop here. One question. One more question. Yes. We'll take a couple of questions. No problem. Yeah.
How do you draw the line between self-realization and responsibility towards? Because that is what we are all at the end of the day go behind.
Nice question.
I have a child, I need to bring her up.
Yes.
In the process, I don't like my job, but I need to stay in the job, bring my family up.
Yeah, I had this question also. Actually, the sequel is that we all there is a hierarchy of needs. We start with basic needs and then we
Talk about it.
mature into self-actualization. Is there a need for us early on to adapt to this realization?
Yes.
And does it? The next question is the benefits. Out of that. You explained the benefit obviously.
Yes.
But is there a stage at which we need to get into it?
Nice question. Today morning in Madan Gopal Prabhu's house, that is what was the discussion. He also had the similar kind of confusion. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna answers this question. Everybody starts thinking, as soon as the spirituality comes into the mind, or spiritual talks, one thing comes to the mind is renunciation. I have to choose between my responsibilities of being a father and mother and being spiritual. That means they think giving up my responsibility is spiritual. That is what is the general feeling which people have. But Krishna in the 3rd chapter, he says, Sanyasyad evahi siddhim samadhi gacchati. Na sanyasyad evahi siddhim samadhi gacchati. Na means no. Evahi means just by. Just by taking sannyas, nobody can attain perfection. These are the words of Krishna. Why people have this idea that taking sannyas, taking a renunciation is spiritual. But Krishna told, just by taking a renunciation, nobody becomes spiritual. Then what is being spiritual? When we accomplish our responsibilities for the pleasure of Krishna, as a sacrifice to Krishna, that makes us spiritual. In the Bhagavad Gita, this point has been spoken. Yajñartat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartam karma konteya mukta sangha samacharaha. In the entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about sacrifice. Sacrifice means I do something even if I don't want to. That is called sacrifice. And by doing that, we become purified. That keeps us self-controlled. That keeps our senses under control. Like for example, you don't want to do your job, but still you have to do. And it is a sacrifice. And because of that sacrifice only, your senses are under control. Just imagine, no responsibilities for 1 week. No responsibilities for 1 week. What will you do? You go mad. Your wife and children are not there, you are alone. Whole day watch TV. Some people get drunk, take drugs. Just because they are there and you have that responsibility, your senses are under control. It's a fact. So, but we cannot just continue just doing that. And we should know how to do it. Yajna arthat. When it is done for Krishna, then that becomes spiritual. Matter, dovetailed for the cause of spirit, is no more material, it is spiritual. Like you see, you get flowers in the market, they are flowers. But the same flowers, when they are offered to the Lord in the temple, and they are given to you, you rever it. That flower is also made up of matter only. But why? Because it is in connection with spirit. That is why it becomes spiritual. Iron, when it is in fire, it gets the same qualities of the fire. So your responsibilities, though material, when they are in connection with the Supreme Lord, these responsibilities are no more material, they are spiritual. Rather, these responsibilities, they become the cause of your purification. So there is no contradiction between spirituality and responsibilities. Rather, the same responsibilities, when they are done in a proper perspective, the same responsibility becomes the cause of our liberation. Spiritual. This is an example given, very nice example. Milk, when you boil the milk and then make it into peda, or what do you call it? What do you call it in English? I don't know, peda. I understand. I hope you understand. Becomes condensed milk, more condensed milk, and you like it a lot, and you take a lot of it, a kilo of peda or something, half a kilo maybe. Take. What happens? You have constipation, stomach problem. Now what is the cure for it? The same milk. The same milk, if you make it into curd and take it, that becomes a cure of the constipation. Responsibility, when it is done without Krishna consciousness, that becomes constipation. That becomes a problem, frustration. The same responsibility, when it is taken in a Krishna conscious way, in the form of the ghee or curd, that becomes the cure for our constipation. The problem is not with the responsibility. The problem is the attitude with which we are doing our responsibilities. That is what the problem with Arjuna was. Arjuna wanted to give up his responsibility, thinking, I can be spiritual giving up responsibility. As Krishna told, no. Tasmad Yuddhaya Jasva. You fight thinking about me. That becomes the cause of Arjuna's liberation. So there is no contradiction. And it cannot be just discussed in one class. That is the reason you need to attend our classes quite regularly every week and study Bhagavad Gita, which is so technical and so scientifically presented. Then all these things become more and more clear. Okay? So last question. I know I am old time. But what to do? One question, last question.
Chaitanya.
Yes?
Chaitanya.
Yes.
Can you elaborate that Chaitanya?
Elaborate on Chaitanya. I will not much elaborate on this subject because I have already spoken about it from the beginning itself. Chaitanya means consciousness, chit kana. What is the soul made up of? It is made up of chinmaya, conscious thing. So this consciousness, like you are able to hear, because you are conscious. You are able to perceive, that is because of consciousness. You see, soul is Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat is neither born nor it dies. It is only a quality. And Ananda is only experience. What exactly is the soul? It is Chit. It is Chit Kana. Like you have, okay, we say this is made up of mud, this is made up of plastic. Now if somebody asks you what is soul made up of? It is made up of consciousness. It is not made up of anything material. And the nature is eternity and the experience is Ananda. So within these three, actually the soul is what? Chit. So that much you can understand for now. Okay, we stop here. Thank you very much.